For many years, Queen Letizia of Spain has carried herself with dignity and poise, navigating the complex life of royalty with a grace that belies the storm that may have once raged behind her smile. To the world, she was the confident consort of King Philippe VI, a former journalist turned queen, seemingly adjusting well to the traditions and demands of royal life. But now, new revelations have surfaced that cast a long shadow over the carefully maintained image of peace and composure. It all began with a series of intimate confessions made by Jaime del Burgo, a name familiar to those who followed Spanish high society. Once the husband of Letizia's sister Telma, he has now stepped into the spotlight with allegations that are both unsettling and deeply personal. Among the more scandalous of his claims is that he and Letizia shared a relationship long after she had already taken her vows with King Felipe. But while whispers of infidelity are not unfamiliar to royal families across Europe, it wasn't that revelation that truly stirred the emotions of the Spanish people and those watching from abroad. Rather, it was something far more poignant, more delicate, and to many more human, the painful story of Letizia's experience with motherhood. According to respected veteran journalist Jamie Peñafiel, Queen Letizia suffered not one but two miscarriages. And while the first was kept discreet, it is the second loss that reportedly changed the course of her life forever. Peñafiel, whose decades-long career has granted him access to sources close to the Crown states, that the second miscarriage left lasting physical repercussions. These after-effects, his sources claim, rendered Queen Letizia unable to conceive naturally again. One can only imagine the heartbreak of a woman, royal or not, who yearns to be a mother but finds her body unable to fulfill that most ancient and natural hope. The story takes a turn toward science and sacrifice when Peñafiel reveals that Letizia, determined to become a mother, sought fertility treatments in Valencia. But what makes this more than a tale of medicine is the suggestion that the Queen's younger sister, Erica Ortiz, played a deeply personal role in this chapter. Allegedly, when Letizia discovered she could no longer use her own eggs, she turned to Erica for help. It is believed, according to this version of events, that Erica donated her eggs so that Letizia could experience the joy of carrying and giving birth to her daughters Leonor and Sophia. This revelation, though never officially confirmed, may help explain the unusually strong emotional attachment Erica had for the young girls. Those close to the family described her as being deeply loving toward the children, almost as if she saw them not only as nieces, but as something closer, perhaps even as extensions of herself. And it is here in this space between science and sentiment that the story takes on a more sorrowful tone. Erica Ortiz, by many accounts a sensitive and thoughtful woman, struggled in silence with the emotional weight she bore. According to Peñafiel, after her role in the conception of the girls, Erica was, for reasons not fully understood, denied access to them. Whether due to protocol privacy concerns or other personal disagreements, Erica's bond with the children was reportedly cut off. For a woman who may have seen them as her half-daughters, this separation proved devastating. The journalist suggests that the distance between Erica and the girls contributed significantly to her descent into depression, a darkness that tragically she never emerged from. In 2077, Erica Ortiz died by suicide, a loss that shocked not only her family, but an entire nation. Her passing left many questions unanswered and a void that no public statement could ever truly fill. With these new revelations, that loss feels all the more poignant. Was her suffering known? Could more have been done? Was her silence voluntary or imposed? These are the questions that now hang in the air, heavy and unresolved. The publication of these details has stirred both compassion and controversy. Some believe it is inappropriate, even cruel, to revisit such painful chapters. Others argue that only through truth can healing begin. Still others question the motivations of those who have come forward so many years later, wondering whether the aim is justice scandal or something more self-serving. But regardless of one's stance, it is clear that the facade of serenity often presented by royal households can hide immense pain and sacrifice. What emerges most clearly from this deeply emotional saga is a portrait of three women, Letizia, Erica, and the absent voice of truth that lies somewhere between them. Letizia, in her determination to build a family, may have made choices few of us could fully understand or judge. Erica, possibly compelled by love sisterhood or a desire to help, may have given more than she could bear, and the daughters Leonore and Sophia, likely unaware of the full complexity of their beginnings, have become symbols of hope lineage and quiet endurance. For those of us who have lived long enough to know that family is rarely simple and that grief often lingers in unspoken corners, this story resonates deeply. Many who read this may remember their own losses. Miscarriages mourned in silence, loved ones lost to depression, or family bonds that frayed under the pressure of expectation and secrets. Perhaps that is why this account touches a nerve. It is not merely about royalty or scandal. It is about the universality of pain, the silent endurance of women, and the unspoken sacrifices that shape the lives of those we see only from afar. Today, the royal household has not issued any statement confirming or denying these claims, and perhaps they never will. But for those who have watched Queen Letizia rise to her role with elegance and intelligence, there is now a deeper understanding of the emotional weight she may have carried all along. The crown, after all, does not shield the heart from sorrow. It is simply worn atop it. The revelations that have surfaced of love loss, silent sacrifice, and familial fracture may not change the protocol of the palace, but they shift something in the hearts of those who know what it means to endure. In the twilight years of our lives, stories such as these remind us that behind every poised photograph, every elegant wave from a balcony lies a complex, often painful journey. And perhaps in knowing that we see not just a queen, but a woman flawed, grieving, loving, surviving, just like the rest of us. As time passes and the clamor of the headlines fades, one begins to reflect on what stories like these truly leave behind. For some, they serve as fleeting gossip, quickly consumed and forgotten. But for those of us who have lived long enough to know the weight of silence and the toll of grief, the echoes of such revelations linger. They stir memories of quiet hospital rooms, of the tremble in a loved one's voice as they deliver devastating news, of the feeling of being surrounded by people but completely alone in sorrow. These are the kinds of memories not often shared in public, but deeply understood by those who carry them. In Queen Letizia's case, her story is not merely a royal drama. It is the private ache of a woman whose plans for a family were altered by fate, and whose sister may have given her a gift both miraculous and ultimately heartbreaking. Erica's possible role as the biological mother of Letizia's daughters adds a layer of complexity few can fully grasp. It speaks to a kind of love that transcends convention, a generosity of spirit that is not often acknowledged or even fully understood until it's gone. And if indeed she was kept away from those children, whether out of caution protocol or a shift in circumstance, it adds another cruel edge to her suffering. For many older readers, the notion of watching a loved one descend into despair and feeling powerless to stop it is not an abstract concept. It is a memory etched in experience. Whether it was a sibling, a spouse, a child, or a friend, many know the agony of trying to reach someone whose sadness has wrapped them in silence. And for some, the pain of not reaching them in time lingers for decades. This is the true heart of the story, not the glamour of royalty or the gossip of forbidden love, but the deep human truth that sometimes those who give the most of themselves are left with the least. It is a reminder to us all to look beyond the appearances of strength and ask gently if someone is truly okay. To remember that even in families that seem powerful and privileged, there can be isolation and heartbreak. In a world that often prioritizes image over authenticity, stories like this quietly invite us to offer compassion instead of judgment and understanding instead of curiosity. Because beneath the gowns and crowns, these are still people trying, failing, loving, breaking, enduring, just like the rest of us. Perhaps in some way, this unfolding truth will offer healing not just for those involved, but for all who see a reflection of their own silent struggles in it.